This is A-Game. Fast acting, long lasting, with no side effects.
Hey all my Crimsonites, and welcome to the Crimson Cure channel, where we embrace our femininity, increase our womanly value, and celebrate our brothers. So join me on our feminine journey to learn, heal, and grow. Hey there, my Crimsonites, and welcome to the Crimson Cure channel. I am your host, femininity coach, and author of the Crimson Cure, and this is my perspective. So we're going to roll with that same concept of Order 66, right? How this betrayal or this mindset that gives rise to the betrayal is really taught and reinforced by Black women each generation. So I'm gonna show you a video that's maybe about 2.5 minutes long. I might even be pausing it to talk about the points that she's bringing up. But this is what they learn. They got to be learning this stuff in gender study class. Cause ain't no way that you learned this from any reputable source of education. To tell Black women that the interpersonal relationship that is ordained by the Most High, it was really a slavery or part of plantation dynamics. But anyway, let me go ahead and share the screen. Let y'all listen to this. I'm gonna take it back.
I wanted to talk about this for so long because you could draw a straight line between life on the plantation and Black men and women's relationship today and see how much slavery has influenced us. I know I'm not going to get through everything in this video, but I want to talk about a couple examples that we can see that manifest in relationships today. Firstly, the submissive dominant mindset. We were enslaved from a continent where women were heads of families and matriarchs, and then brought over to where all Black people were subjugated under white people. And that submissive dominant mindset started as a Black-white relationship. Black people were not only ingrained with the idea that they were submissive, but that they were so naturally, biologically, even religiously. Does that not sound exactly like the justification that so many men and some women use to become submissive today? Furthermore, that system rooted in white supremacy was like this with patriarchy. So it not only taught that all Black people were submissive to white people, but on the social totem pole that Black men in particular were above Black women. And because Black men were also socialized to want to achieve to the level of a white man, they were taught that subjugating Black women is a way to improve their social rank. And they could do that through forcing them to be submissive and convincing them it was a natural idea. Now let's talk about this value-based dating system, which has become so popular in the Black community.
Okay, I'm gonna pause her. Hold on. I'm gonna pause her, and I'm gonna come back to you really quickly. Let me come back to you real quick, because I gotta address this, because she's gonna go into some other things, and I don't want her to go into them things. I'm gonna stop sharing real quickly. I'm gonna come back. We're gonna talk about the submission dominant dynamic that she's referring to. She is doing a false equivalency. The false equivalency is the corruption of that subdominant dynamic in the form of antebellum slavery. When our ancestors were brought to this country through the transatlantic slave trade, there was an element of submission and domination. It was enforced biologically, culturally, and environmentally. And that part she's actually correct about. It was enforced biologically because they had biological control over slaves. Culturally, they did so. They put these things into the slave's head that this is what their natural position was really supposed to be. And they reinforced that through not only cultural norms, but also environmental policy and law. Okay, and even using the institution of religion to reinforce the biological part in order to keep that as a self-serving loop This is how they maintained slavery, because there wasn't enough numbers of them to maintain each slave and keep them enslaved one to one. So you had to enslave them through the mind. That's a biological, cultural, and environmental attack. So that part she's actually correct with. However, the false equivalency comes along when we don't have enough information about how we did things prior to the transatlantic slave trade. We didn't have just a straight up matriarchal, female dominated culture. There was equity among Black men and Black women, meaning that Black men did not subjugate Black women. However, the natural order was always understood and followed, meaning that men were the builders, men were the ones who went out and conquered the world. They were the leaders. They were the ones who made all the important decisions. What the equity actually means is that women's voices, our ancestors, female ancestors' voices were not stifled because they were women. They lended support to the leaders. Okay. And that support was well recognized. However, they were not in charge of everything. Even when you have a working matriarchy, that, in order to not be corruptive, has to exist under a functioning patriarchy. Okay. So there has not been any civilization in this world that has flourished that has been strictly matriarchal. We dismissed that myth on the video I did about the Mosuo tribe that show Harlem tried to present as fully matriarchal, where the women had control. But what was the condition of the place? What was the condition of their livelihood? You see what I'm saying? So in order to have a functioning matriarchy that isn't a gynocracy, it always operates underneath the patriarchy. Our men had patriarchy. They just wasn't oppressing us with it. So the false equivalency is that patriarchy in and of itself is oppressive and wrong, and that we as melanated people never had such a system. We just wasn't enslaving women with it. But trust and believe, men were considered the leaders. Even now, when you go to different countries in Africa and when you visit different tribes, men and women have specific gender roles where men are more dominant and women are more submissive. Women are charged with running of the household and of the children, but that's still operating under the order and the leadership of the men. It's not operating independently of the men. But we're going to let her talk about the value. This was really interesting. So I'm going to share it again, and she's going to talk about value-based dating. And this one is real crazy. So we're going to go back.
This system teaches us to commodify people in the same way that slaves themselves were commodities, and that they were graded and sold based on the values that they could present to the slave master. And that now the obsession with women's body counts, their age, their height, their weight, is all remnants of the way that we used to commodify Black people and judge them based on these values. It's become the basis of so many relationships between Black men and women, not only to deem if a woman herself is desirable, but also if acquiring her, like you would acquire a slave, would increase your social status. And let's not forget the effect that it's also had on our dating preferences. Because Black people existed in a system where whiteness was the superior form of everything, and then we were taught, even to this day, to aspire to that whiteness, white women were already seen as inherently more valuable than Black women.
I'm gonna pause her again. I promise you we're gonna get through this whole video because it wasn't nothing but like 3 minutes. Let's talk about the value-based dating, or the value-based. That has always been so. She equated that with slavery, but people always look for value in other people, whether you are doing so in order to misuse them or you're doing so with honor and with integrity. Yes. People want other people in their lives that are going to be valuable and useful to them in some way. What she neglected to say was that women think more like that towards the men. A man can't do nothing for a Black woman unless he brings something to her. She is not looking to not commodify him. He's an entire commodity to the point where he's not really human. So if he can't pay her bills, give her money, send her on trips, send her shopping, get her hair done, get her nails done, buy, her friends stuff and her family's things and this and that. If he doesn't come with a certain set of things that he's willing to do and willing to give her just based off the fact that she's in his presence, she don't want him around. Is that or is that not can be equated the other way to quote unquote slavery? Because women are the same way. If he's not doing something for me, not just being this wonderful person and that's it, and I don't want nothing, I don't need him to, actually perform anything of any value around me. They want him to do stuff, whether it's usually ridiculous, right? The expectations are out of this world. However, this is the same thing that they say, yeah, if you're looking for men to have value in order to spend time with him and and all of this type of stuff, then why is it slavery when he turns around and wants value from you? Yes, acquiring you, marrying you, covering you, giving you everything I got for a lifetime. I require you to provide me some value for that. That's like asking somebody to work without no money. That's slavery. Work and don't pay. You work for me as a man and I give you nothing in return. That's the definition of slavery. That's the definition of slave labor. But she ain't got no problem with that. I'm going to let her finish out. Here we go.
As slaves, we were taught that whiteness is the ultimate form of femininity, but also innocence. And so Black women were taught to aspire to whiteness, but Black men were also taught to inform their preferences based on women who have a closer proximity to whiteness. That taught them to over-sexualize and over-fetishize a Black woman in a way that they would not a white woman and give them less assumed innocence as a white woman. I talked about this in another video where I said that Black women are considered baby mamas, whereas white women are considered single mothers. It also taught them to believe that compared to a white woman, Black women were side hoes, mistresses, because they were fast and loose. They were not wife material in the way that a white woman was. And because they were taught to aspire to the things that a white man had, they saw marrying and getting with a white girl as climbing social status and leveling up.
Yeah. I'm glad she said that. Because don't this sound like what Black women do? The problem that I'm having with what she's saying is that she's attributing these types of stereotypes and tropes to something that Black men created for Black women, when in reality, this was something that white men created for Black women. When Sojourner Truth was asking, ain't I a woman? She didn't direct that question to Black men because Black men already saw Black women as women and as valuable women. She was directing that to white men. Why don't you see me as the same level and form of feminine and woman as you see white women? Black women are the ones who are really obsessed with a proximity to whiteness, and they even associate femininity to whiteness. They associate the elements of femininity like submission and cooperativeness to white women. When a Black man say, man, I'm going to another culture for another woman. Oh, you just want a white woman because she going to submit to you. That's automatically the association that Black women make. The over-sexualizing of Black women is the sapphire. Black men did not create those tropes. White men did through media. So she got a real misdirected look, monologue she got going. Okay? This is something that Zaddy made up for her. But notice she does not direct that at Zaddy. She directs it at black men. She misdirects it at black men to make black men the enemy of black women by loosely trying to blame it on things learned and passed down from the time of slavery. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. White men said you were fast and loose and side chicks and whores and not wife material by giving you the Jezebel trope and the sapphire trope that you live up to this day. It's black men that tried to say, no, you're wife material. No, our women are wives. You want to be baby mamas. You like that. You like being baby mamas. You strive to be that. So let's not complain now that black men are putting this trope and putting this weight on your shoulders that you don't want. You like that. When black men say, no, we want to see value in you, and we do. We just need you to tweak a little bit. Y'all say no, and you keep going down that same path that Zaddy set for you. So let's not complain. And let's not misdirect. Anyway, before we sign off, I want you guys to take a click on the link in the description box for the Black Lives Matter petition that we have against them for their theft of more than $90 million of donated funds from the Black community. And after you get through signing, sharing, and contributing to that petition, sound off in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Like, share, subscribe to the channel if you have not. Once again, I'm your host, The Crimson Cure, and this was my perspective. Bye-bye, Crimsonites.
Hey guys, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. And if you've got more to say on the topic, leave a comment down below. Also, don't forget to support our sponsor who so graciously supports this channel by clicking the description box and the link for A-Game at agameherbal.com. You can go ahead and get a 10% discount off of your next purchase using the code Kendra10. This has been yet another Crimson Cure production, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.